Kisuk wisdom, Kisuk kyukye, Kisuk quiet. Welcome back to another Warrior Wednesdays. I'm your host, Kanshuke Tesmiet, also known as Peter Not So White. And I just want to give thanks to being on the unceded Coast Salish territories of the Musqueam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh people. Sukani for allowing me to be a guest on your beautiful lands. And this is actually my second take at this podcast. You don't know this, but I know it because when I originally recorded it, this podcast episode Sunday morning, and when I went to go edit it, it wasn't there. The file wasn't there, and I'm like, oh well. There's probably something that I missed that I needed to say, and that's the way I'm going to choose to look at it. You know, I could get frustrated and mad, or I could just laugh at the situation and say, hey, you missed something, and that's okay, right? And that's where the growth happens, is by being mindfully practicing that mindfulness on how you react to certain situations. And I'm a lot like you. I'm just learning and growing as I grow through life. So this is my second take at this clip, and you may notice I sound a little bit different. Last Thursday I started my journey on my Invisalign, so I'm starting to slowly straighten a couple of my teeth out, which I'm truly grateful for. The whole new technology. I don't have to go through the whole struggle and pain of braces. I just have Invisalign now. So I may sound different for this podcast and maybe next week until I kind of get used to talking with it. Or who knows, maybe I'll just sound like this for the next 16 trays I got or something like that. So I don't know, the next 7 months. We'll see. It'll be a growing journey for all of us. And today I kind of want to talk about being the quote-unquote self-made. We're not all self-made. Yes, you're the one who puts in the work. You're the one who's grinding it out to reach a goal. You're the one that's pushing yourself beyond your own limits to reach something new. But you're not self-made, because there are multiple factors, people, events, even prior to you being on this earth, that have happened for you to be who you are today. And without any of those events, you wouldn't be who you are. And this conversation came up with one of my friends, and a situation that's kind of going on in the Indigenous community with reclaiming who we are, reclaiming our knowledge, our languages, our traditions, reclaiming our sense of pride. Because for many, decades, for almost 100 years, the government of Canada and the American government banned us from practicing these ways of life. So a lot of us are starting to make people hold themselves accountable for making profit, making income off of our ways of life. If they're not Indigenous, it's not right, because you don't have to grow through the struggles of what it is to be Indigenous to be able to hold those places. And there's a certain lady in our community who has been trying to, for many years, she's been getting away with it. But more and more people are starting to question her on where she comes from. Not in a colonial way, but in that space that she is potentially holding space from people that have had to grow through certain situations to be able to be in that space, if you can kind of understand what I mean by that. And I recently even, because I was super grateful for her, this lady, because when I first started to dance powwow, I myself went to her to learn the basic intertribal steps, just to have a safe place where I could learn slowly until I was confident enough to get out there and go an actual powwow and dance. Some of you know my very first powwow, my very first time dancing was in my community, and that's because I felt more safe there also. But I should have went the other route. Instead of just jumping in without knowing how to swim, at least learning the basics of swimming before I jumped in. I just jumped in the deep end. So I don't recommend that you just go straight to a powwow and start dancing. If you are indigenous and you're wanting to reclaim who you are, I suggest that you start to learn the basics, the basic fundamental intertribal step before you get out there. So that's what she did. She helped me have a safe place to learn. And she's taught a lot of dancers. She is a phenomenal dancer herself. But there are protocols, there are ways, there are certain things within the powwow community what you do to be a powwow dancer. You put in the time, you put in your losses, you put in the miles, you put back into the community your time, your medicine, your love, and you even will hold specials in a powwow to give back to the community. You get initiated, you get brought into the circle through certain people. There's certain protocols to becoming a powwow dancer. Yes, you learn how to dance and you start doing all that stuff, but you also have to give back, give that gratitude. And that's what you do when you uphold a special. You usually hold a special for your own category in that circle. I held one men's traditional special, and I want to do a bigger one, but at that time in my life I only had a certain amount of funds because I was growing through my whole cancer journey, and that was right around when I think I just had gotten off recovery from all my surgeries, my multiple surgeries I had on my leg, on my foot. But I'm planning on, Creator is speaking to me that I need to hold a bigger one. And that's what you do as a powwow dancer. You don't just take, and then hold it in and not share with everyone. And that's what this lady's kind of doing. She's just doing a lot of performances, teaching a lot of classes, and not giving back in this way. So we want to uphold it the proper way, and the proper teachings and all these things. So that's what's kind of going on, and that's how the conversation got to with this podcast. One of my good friends, girl 23, and I were having a conversation, and she was asking me about the whole situation with us, like with her and me, and how I kind of questioned her and asked her. And I said I'm super grateful for her because she's the one who helped me get to where I'm at in life, like where I'm at in my dancing career, my dancing style. And she was trying to say, you did it all, you did it. And yes, I did do it. I'm the one who put the hours in, the time in, the losses, the money I spent on traveling and the time and all that stuff. But I'm an accumulation of this other lady helping me out. And I'm an accumulation of the people that I surrounded myself with to get to where I'm at. I'm an accumulation of the thousands and thousands of prayers that my ancestors prayed for me prior to me even being on this planet. I'm an accumulation of that. I'm an accumulation of people in my community praying for me. And it didn't really strike me until recently that there have been thousands and thousands of prayers for me. There's been thousands and thousands of prayers said for you and everyone else in this world prior to you being here. And what really struck me was because my uncle and his partner, she actually commented on one of my posts before saying, I'm truly grateful that you got sober, because my uncle and me would pray for you and the boys, like my brothers, my two brothers that I have, and they would pray for us. They would pray for us to get on the red road, to sober up, to straighten our lives out, because we were all lost in addictions and partying, right? And they would pray for us. And their prayers are slowly being answered when they're meant to be answered. And that really made me start to think that, wow, I'm much more than just myself. I'm a product of their prayers and other people's prayers. And I'm a product of someone giving me the steps towards becoming a dancer. I'm the byproduct of all the other dancers that I've surrounded myself by. I'm a product of the community that I have built around myself. And that goes for the same with you. You are a byproduct of everyone you surround yourself with the media you intake, with everything that you listen to and learn from. And I wasn't always this positive, motivational person that you see. I didn't always meditate. I didn't always stretch. I didn't always drink water. I didn't always do these things. I wasn't always mindful. And sometimes I'm not. And that's the thing with being human. It's a practice, right? Being a human is trial and error. We learn, we grow. We learn, we grow. Practice and you test. You practice, and then you're put to the test. You practice, then another test comes up. That's how it's going to be throughout your whole life until you leave this earth. So understand that you're going to have many, many more growing lessons. And that's the excitement of life. And how you react to them is how much quicker you're going to grow. Like, for instance, this second podcast recording. I could have got mad and frustrated and could have ruined my whole day if I chose to. Or I could choose to just laugh at it and re-record it, which is okay too, right? Because that's just giving me more practice on speaking. That's just giving me more practice to talk with my Invisaligns in, right? And that's how life is going to be. On how you choose to react to those situations is going to be how quick are you going to get over that hurdle. And I just got over it really easily, really quickly, and just jumped back into it and saying, oh well, it's okay, it's going to be okay. And that's like a flower. A flower will grow only in certain environments. And you don't change the flower for it to grow. You don't pull that seed out and put a new seed in, because the new seed that you put in is just going to have the same exact outcome as that other flower did in that environment. You have to change that environment that flower is in order it to grow. You could grab a seed, you could put it on your shelf, you could water it somehow, let it sit in a puddle of water its whole life, and it will never grow to what it's supposed to be until you actually put it in the soil, in nutrient-rich soil, and then start to water it and take care of it. It'll never grow sitting on that shelf. It needs a new environment. So if you're asking yourself, well, Peter, I don't have the proper support, the proper community for me to become what I want to become in life, whatever that is. You do. And it's called YouTube. It's called books. It's called podcasts. You can surround yourself and follow the people that you want to be inspired to become. And that's what I started to do when I wanted to become this man you see today. I started to build a community, and I'm thankful for the legacy builders that I'm in, because it's a really positive, uplifting community. But also I listen to, as much as I can, things that help me grow and people that I wanted to inspire to become like. I'm always listening to those things on YouTube, on my podcast. I'm always trying to listen to uplifting things. Even on my social media, I'm starting to try to create, I am creating that environment where I'm seeing things that are going to help me grow and learn. And like, even at times I'll see something and I'll just unfollow it if it doesn't align with what I want in life. And that's the same for you. You can start to do the same thing. You can start to control that environment where you're going to grow. And whatever you want to become, you can surround and start like listening to those people and following them and taking certain things from that and just adding it into your life. That's all you have to do, because everything that I hear on these podcasts and these YouTube clips and all these YouTube, I don't do everything that they say do. I take the things that resonate with me the most and I do them. And that's the same thing for you. It's just a little quick cheat sheet, basically. That's what you're getting from when you listen to these people. You're like, you have an aha moment. I'm like, aha, that's actually pretty cool. I actually really like that part. I'm going to use that. And the things that don't resonate with me, I just let it go. I don't hold on to it. I just, like a cloud. A cloud comes, stays over for you for a second, and it's gone. That's the same thing with these things, and that's what I do. So if you're not happy with your life, with where you're at right now in life, and you might not be because you're here listening to this podcast and you want to grow, then you need to start creating that community. And you're already following someone who you might want to inspire to be like, and that's me. And there's people that I follow that I want to inspire to be like, to help me grow. You always have to have a coach in life, somewhere in life. The best top performing people have coaches. A coach might not have the best, they have the best skills to teach, but sometimes they just don't have the genetics or whatever to become that top athlete or the top person in that thing, right? And it's crazy that you think about the top, like Kobe Bryant, the late Kobe Bryant. He had multiple coaches and he was always learning. He was in the gym off season, on season, spending thousands and thousands of hours just doing basic movements, doing the basics, always going back to the fundamentals. And that's what you need to do too, is keep going back to the fundamentals and growing those and learning those, and with daily gratitude, daily meditation, daily stretching. Those things are just super simple, easy things. Drinking more water throughout the day. These are super easy fundamentals that can change your life drastically, that we overlook. And all these little victories, all these little wins will eventually add up to winning the war in your mind, because we all go to war in our own minds. Doesn't matter who you are in this world. And I've been there, and I still go through it, and I still have to push through all these things. But when you understand that, when you keep saying me, I, me, I did this, me, blah, that's kind of ego boosting. When you turn it into we, into us, that actually allows the universe, the world, to go out and put we, because that's we, that's all of us, that's more than one, that's a community. And indigenous people ways, we've always thrived in a community, like a community surrounding, a community setting. Without one person, the community will fall down. It's like a table. Most tables have 4 legs. Without one of them, they'll fall over, right? Unless it has a really big, it has a one, but usually it'll have a massive base. Like it'll come down and it'll have a massive base, so it has that area surface on the ground to support it so it won't fall over. And that's like a community, a big surface area. So understand that you are a byproduct of everyone around you. Yes, you put the work in. Yes, you put the time in. You sweat it out, you grind it out, or whatever you're doing, you grow through those situations, but you're also an accumulation of everyone around you. So start to create that environment that's going to help you thrive into the person you're meant to be. And with that, I'm going to end this podcast. Sukini, on Winnigat, Dagas, and remember, everything always happens for the right reasons. Take care, and I'll see you next Wednesday, all my wonderful wealthy warriors.